Hello and welcome to episode 78 of When the Flames Go Up, the ATFC podcast. What a week in the life of an Aldershot Town fan, losing to your rivals at home to make it a record 7 successive league defeats. Not, I mean, what else? How much worse can it get? I mean, it could have got worse, I suppose, if Truro had won. If we'd ended up at completely on the foot of the table, that would have been almost too much. So, yeah, this week we are going to pick through the rubble of a Derby Day defeat. We've got voice notes from Guy and Charlie in tonight to discuss the Woking game and the current situation. I'll intro those as they come, and then I'll probably pop in afterwards to put down some of my thoughts or some things that I thought might have been covered but weren't. I guess my question to the viewers, I mean, we can dream of getting on telly. Uh, when did you know Aldershot were getting relegated in 2012-13? I was trying to think on the weekend. I was picking through the rubble myself, going for a big long walk on Sunday, and my phone ran out of battery, so I had um, no music, no podcasts. So obviously my mind got to Aldershot getting relegated. Did I know in 2013 like which game was it that really tipped the balance? And I was like, we are definitely getting relegated because I think I it dawned on me very late, and it hit me a lot harder in the back end of that season and the back end of that run because I wasn't really expecting it. I just assumed we'd put out of the drop zone at some point. And I think because also we weren't really bottom for very long. We just kind of, you know, we were basically sleepwalking to relegation, and then we were 24th and very, very clearly the worst team in the league. And I'm seeing I guess, those similar signs maybe now. But yeah, I guess have a little think and have a look at the season, the results from 2012-13, and let us know. Email the podcast, atfcpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll maybe piece them together with the rest of the panel next week. That'd be a lovely depressing episode, wouldn't it? Great. So yeah, enjoy the episode as much as you can, and obviously, well, up the shots and fair play to anyone going to York at the weekend. That's a top three hardest away games of the season on paper, um, and awful for visiting fans unless you make a weekend of it. So I presume and hope people are making a weekend of it up in York because it is top five best cities in the UK. There, I said it. Up the shots. So first up, we've got Charlie who sent in a voice note about the Woking game, his thoughts, Coleman, uh, his start, the form, etc., etc.
So I think when John Coleman was first announced as the new manager of Aldershot Town Football Club, I think most Aldershot fans were under no illusion that it would be, a difficult start for John. Obviously, we were still facing the shockwaves of Tommy Widrington leaving in unexpected circumstances. We had a really large injury list that we've spoken about all season, seemingly, and we were obviously struggling for form in the league. I think those circumstances alone would have made it difficult for any new manager coming into the club. However, then when you looked at the fixtures, the first league fixtures that John Coleman had to navigate, the task became even more challenging. Boreham Wood, Forest Green Rovers and Rochdale, three teams right at the top end of the table, performing really well, and they were the first three games for John Coleman. So I think from where I was sitting, I viewed those first three league games as a bit of a free hit for John, an opportunity for him to assess the squad, maybe change up the formation and style of play, and, if we can, pick up as many points as possible, but without too much expectation that we would pick up too many points with those first three challenging games. Obviously, we picked up 0 points. It was 3 1-goal defeats, with some positives in some of the performances, but overall, three defeats is 3 defeats. I really earmarked the Woking game, and I'm sure the team did as well. I really earmarked the Woking game as a golden opportunity to get that first win, or at the very least get that first point of the John Coleman era. Woking are obviously a side that have had a bit of a mixed start to the season, albeit they have picked up to some decent form recently. And with it being Derby Day at the EBB with a big crowd behind the team. I really felt like this was an opportunity for us to see how we could fare against a team that maybe doesn't quite have the quality of the other three teams John Coleman has faced in the league so far. But unfortunately, here we are after the Woking game, 2-1 defeat at home, and things are looking really, really bleak, to be honest with you. I think this is the first time this season I felt like the R word, relegation, is an inevitability, or at the very least, highly likely. I think as for the game, it was a bit of a strange one, really. I feel like Woking started the better and carved out two decent opportunities. We have Pat Nash to thank for two smart saves, albeit they were probably ones you would expect him to make. He still had to make them. We performed a little bit better after the first 10 minutes and started to gain some territory without really creating anything too clear cut. And I do think that is ultimately our biggest problem under John Coleman currently. We don't seem to be creating enough clear cut chances for me. We took the goal, we took the lead with a nice goal. I'd say kind of somewhat against the run of play. Great header from Nightingale, great delivery from Ryan Jones, and I really thought, okay, this is the first time we've taken the lead under John Coleman in the league. Let's see what we're made of. Let's see how we deal with this. It was like watching a team under Widgerington again. Unfortunately, 5 minutes later, we concede from a set piece. We switch off. We allow a Collier free header. It's 1-1, and there we are. Hard work, all the hard work to get in front goes away. And then as for the rest of the game, it really just felt like, although we had quite a lot of territory, and although we put quite a lot of crosses into the box, I never really felt that we were going to score another. I never really felt that there was a clear plan of how we would score. I couldn't tell you, what type of attacking team we are at the moment. And, whilst Woking didn't create loads and loads of chances, and it felt like they were quite content to sit back, when they did attack, they looked a lot more threatening than we did and definitely created the better chances. Pat Nash had to make a stunning save at the start of the second half to keep it at 1-1. And then obviously they took the lead with about 15 minutes to go. Pretty poor from us from a goal kick. They won the first and second ball, and then they managed to get in and score an easy tap in. And then unfortunately from there, it never really looked like we were going to get back into the game. Obviously Nightingale had that chance, which he probably should have scored. That ricochet rebound on the stretch, which he diverted over from close range. But truly, we didn't test their keeper at all. He made a couple of very, very easy saves from Tame Etfords and a couple of punches, but that was about it. So it was really disappointing, and I think it kind of sums up where we are at the moment. We look toothless up front, and we don't look that solid at the back either. And unfortunately, that is the makings of a relegated team. And I think John Coleman said it in his post-match interview. He now knows where his squad is at. And changes need to happen. I mean, I would have hoped that he would know where the squad is at well before his fifth game and fourth league game, but there we are. I mean, maybe he was thinking, we've played three really top teams, let's see how we fare against a mid-table one. But we've lost that as well. I think we have problems all over the park. I think there's obviously a lack of confidence which is running through the team at the moment. I think all the players look nervous and shaky, and I think just the final ball and final decision was really lacking against Woking. I think another concern for me, well, maybe it's not a concern, but it's a reality, is I don't think you can fault the players at all. I really felt like, in terms of their energy and effort, they were really going for it, really trying hard, but unfortunately it just feels like the quality isn't there. And in terms of where we go from here, there's not a simple solution, because I know we don't have a war chest to go out and sign a 20-goal a season striker, for example. So additions need to come in, and first and foremost for me, I think we need to sign a striker that's comfortable playing up front on their own. Because for me, Kwame Thomas is an impact player off the bench. He hasn't really impressed me playing up front on his own under Coleman. He doesn't really look like scoring ever. Tristan Abrahams has had limited minutes. Maybe he deserves a bit of a start up there. And Hadi Gandor, I think he's an honest player. Works really hard, good pacing behind. But I'm not quite sure he's the man to lead the line for us either. So I really feel like that is lacking. Barrett obviously was hoping he'd be back for this game, but he wasn't. I don't want to put too much hope on one player, but he really makes a massive difference for us. He lifts everyone, he lifts the crowd. We need him back at the very least to see if that'll make a difference. But unfortunately, things are looking quite bleak. In terms of positives, though, because there were some, I thought Tyler Frost looked really lively and gave their fullback a lot of problems. Although his final ball was somewhat lacking at times, but I think it's really great to have him in the team, at the very least for his energy and the ability to carry the ball forward. So I think he played pretty well. Nightingale was excellent, rightfully man of the match, not just for his goal, but he put in a really assured performance at the back. Was really sound in possession as well. So yeah, I think those two were kind of the standout performers. The rest of the team, I'd say they had average to poor performances. Some good bits in there, but ultimately not good enough to get any points. And I think unfortunately Woking did run out the deserved winners because they created the better chances and were more solid at the back, and that's what it takes to win football matches. I'm intrigued to see what will happen over the next few days ahead of York, and obviously there's the under-21 game in the cup. I think it's probably highly likely that Coleman gives a run out to those that aren't getting many minutes on Tuesday or Wednesday night, whenever it is, against Fulham under-21s, and then we go up to York and face a very, very difficult task against, in my opinion, the best team in the division, and a team that scores a lot of goals as well. So, anything we can get there will be a massive bonus, but at present, it doesn't look likely. Despite the form that has kind of occurred since John Coleman came in, I'm not in the camp that we should be even thinking about getting rid of him yet. I think we all knew it would be a really tough start for him. I'm personally of the opinion that the recruitment in the summer was poor, and that the injuries kind of obviously added to that. And it's my personal opinion that Tommy Widgerington saw the writing was on the wall for him, and he took the first opportunity he could to get out of the club. Because had we gone on the same run of form that we've been through now under Coleman, and Widgerington was still at the club, then I think he probably would very likely have been sacked by now, or at the least be very close to it. So, I think these results were kind of always going to happen, in my opinion. I think what's important now is, how do we start to improve? How do we get those additions in, because they are needed to start picking up some points, and then look ahead to December and the new year, because we are going to need a seriously good second half of the season if we want National League football next season.
And now we've got something a little bit different from Guy. He'll explain more. But let's just say it's a little bit poetic, a little bit theatrical. So enjoy that.
Before we begin, a note on style. What follows is delivered in the florid theatrical tradition of Stuart Hall, whose sports report radio match reports once turned even a scrappy Division 4 encounter into something approaching high drama. For younger listeners, and you may be many, imagine a commentator treating a Saturday afternoon fixture as if it were Hamlet at the Royal Shakespeare Company. It must be said, however, that Hall was later convicted of sexual offences, a fact that inevitably tempers any fond recollection of his broadcasting style. And yet, given the dire state of Aldershot Town at present, that very style, overblown, witty and wordy, offers the only lightness, however small, to cling to amid the gloom. Watching from home, I attempted, with the able assistance of Mr. ChatGPT, to sprinkle a little of Hall's once recognisable colour back into the proceedings. And I have to say, dear listeners, that I followed this home encounter with Woking on television with the soul-sapping desolation of a man who has stared too long into an empty biscuit tin. Not a catastrophe, no. Not the kind of calamity that sends grown men wandering the A31 in search of meaning, but a performance so bereft of sustenance that one is left clutching at the thinnest of reeds. Defensively, at least, the ramparts have been reinforced. Coleman, ever the army engineer, has tightened the bolts and secured the hinges. The back line stands firmer, more compact, and in the redoubt that is Shackelford's flank, there was valour aplenty. He patrolled both wings with the calm authority of a man checking the locks before bedtime, and when he ventured forward, he did so with admirable purpose. But oh, cruel balance of the footballing universe! What has been gained in granite has been lost in gossamer. The midfield and attack, once fountains of invention, have dwindled to arid riverbeds. Rob Worrell observed with the quiet horror of a man reading his gas bill that we smashed in 22 goals in our first 8 matches, and fewer than 10 in the 11 since. A tale, as the great bard said, that tells itself. Up front, the machinery simply clunks and wheezes. Thomas, launched from the outset, is a man built for late game thunder, a sprinter asked to run a marathon. As a lone striker, he huffed at shadows and battered into sturdy Woking shoulders. Abraham's introduction changed little. Henry added no fresh punctuation to the sentence. The script remained stubbornly the same: toil, turnover, and trudging retreat. Credit, of course, to Woking. Their defensive organisation was a thing of almost ecclesiastical discipline. They erected banks of bodies, conducted traffic with ruthless efficiency, and invited us politely but firmly to attempt to pass through a locked door. Yes, there were flickers of artistry, a lovely passing movement here, a Ryan Hill half-chance there, twice snuffed out at the death, but such moments were fireflies in a cavernous night. Given the crowded backlines, it was a little shock that the first 2 goals came from set pieces. The opener for Aldershot, a well-taken header, followed by Woking's equaliser, also a header. Perhaps we might have defended them more stoutly, but in matches like these it is the faintest of margins, the merest eyelashes of chance that tilt the scales. Most gallingly, Woking's eventual winner, their second goal, arrived in the second half from open play, a swift attack that fell neatly in their favour. And though 20 full minutes and a beefy 10 of stoppage time remained, the equaliser felt as elusive as midsummer snow. The final act echoed the Forest Green drama. Aldershot had dragged themselves back from 3-0 down to 3-2, but lacked the momentum to press on for the equaliser. And so we confront the wider malaise. The midfield bereft of imagination, the attack bereft of menace, and Coleman bereft of the tools required to conjure alchemy. He sees the problems. His post-match words had the blunt clarity of a man describing the leak in his roof. But solutions do not spring readily from the bench. Even the returning injured do not appear to be cavalry, so much as reinforcements from the local militia. 2 seasons back, the likes of Tollard and Stokes gilded a division above, making all around them shine. Even Thomas seemed gilded then. Some corners of Shotsweb mutter about showing players the door. But if only modern football operated on the principles of polite society, meaning thank you for your time, do leave your key on the hook. But contracts, like stubborn winter colds, refuse to clear easily. Ending them costs dearly, and should space be freed, who would march through it? 20% rise in the budget sounds impressive, but in this division it might merely mean we are sprinting just to stand still. No, the burden now falls squarely upon the players' shoulders. There were, against Woking, delicate touches, thoughtful passes, but not a single killer ball, not a whiff of daring, not the faintest flicker of mischief. Last week I said that if they could not rouse themselves for a derby, then questions must be asked. The effort on Saturday was not absent, but the urgency, the fire, the hunger, the raw animal snarl was missing in action. And after 8 consecutive defeats, 7 in the league, morale is not so much low as burrowing it towards the earth's core. Now we stare down the charging beast that is York City, winners of 5 straight and wearing the form table like a golden crown. We sit 6 points adrift, the rope slipping, the tide pulling. If victories do not arrive soon, and arrive sharply, we will plunge into the Christmas schedule with the grim inevitability of a pantomime villain entering from stage left. And so, my listeners, we await York. Hope flickers, faint but alive. But the hour grows late, and the shots must rise, for the winter winds blow cold, and the league table is a merciless judge.
Hello, it's me again, back to add some thoughts about the Woking game. I echo most of Charlie's thoughts, to be honest. I feel as though while while we're okay, I think we're broadly competent as a as a very bang average football team. And I think a bang average football team that could score goals probably finishes probably finishes about 18th. We can't score enough goals to sustain that, and that's going to be our downfall unless we do something, unless we bring someone in, unless someone can gel immediately with this team. And to be honest, I think even if we had a striker that came in and was in the mould of a Brett Williams, Marvin Morgan, and Ini Effiong, i.e., strikers that could pick up the ball and do something themselves to get goals. I mean, Ini Effiong kept us up one of the seasons where he was barely getting any service himself. He was just picking the ball up and doing it himself. And yeah, those other two strikers, they had that in them, and they could play up front on their own, and they could also bring players in to play. Um, and I appreciate Kwame Thompson Scott, he's on a hiding to nothing playing up front on his own because he can't do it all himself. He needs support in behind him. And usually when you've got someone like Kwame Thomas and he can hold the ball up, hopefully you've got two or three players that he can lay it off to. But I think what we've basically done is we're trying to stay as wide as possible with the two left mids. That means they're not there, they're nowhere near. So it's only the centre attacking mid that can support, and all it needs is Woking to be very compact in the middle like they were on Saturday, and Ryan Hill can't get the ball where he wants it, or whoever's in behind can't get the ball where we want it. And I guess the difference maker for us is a Josh Barrett who floats around the areas and does cause issues for central midfielders. I mean, that's the only hope I can see unless we bring in reinforcements that Barrett can create more with Kwame Thomas. But even then, I certainly don't see us scoring bags of goals. Um, yeah, I guess yeah. Just to update, I mean, we've got Pat Nash who got a blow to the head um, as Woking scored their second goal. Yeah, took an absolutely, it was a real big hit, to be fair, and he's got a cut above his eye. So he's out for 3 weeks at least with the concussion protocol. Hopefully we can see him back as soon as possible. So yeah, I presume yeah, we've brought in someone just to kind of cover just in case Dewhurst is gets injured or red carded in the next few weeks with a couple of games in tow. Yeah, I haven't really got much more to add on the Woking game. The only thing I was going to say is I kind of knew, I don't know, the vibes are a bit off when Woking, or someone at Woking, was given the go-ahead to run on the pitch with three kids I don't know, wearing Woking kits to then score in front of the East Bank before the game and also at halftime. I don't know who approved that, but whoever it is, they need to have a question asked them. What's going on there? Unless that guy from Woking sneaked a ball in or something, and it wasn't our fault, or I could not believe what I was seeing. Imagine that at any other derby in the world. I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't even. It would never happen at Woking, let alone Fenerbahce Galatasaray. Imagine that. Imagine three little kids running on in away at Fenerbahce, three kids in Galatasaray shirts run on and score three penalties in front of the big stand behind the goal and start knee sliding and shushing the crowd. You wouldn't see it, and I was fuming before that before the game because of that, and then also again at half time because it rolled me up again. Um, and I know it's such a menial thing to get wound up in, and in the grand scheme of things, it obviously doesn't really matter. And I'm sure those kids had a nice time out, but I just think that's I don't know. I was going to say a disgrace, but I mean, I think we're going to lose all meaning of the word disgrace soon. Um, yeah, and I mean, fair play, I guess, in a similar vein to Neil Ardley for celebrating as he did. I would do exactly what he did if I was Woking's manager, or if I was Aldershot's manager, and did something similar uh, to Woking after they'd kind of beaten us in the semi final earlier that year. that's fair enough. That's a bit of football. Um, yeah, swings and roundabouts. We'll get them in 2 years' time when we're back in the National League, I suppose. Yeah, I guess we can come on to my thoughts generally, but yeah, I do think we are in we're in the driving seat of relegation, and yes, we've got Coleman at the wheel. Yes, I'm very concerned that we haven't got enough on the pitch at the moment. I don't think we've really got enough off the pitch that's going to come back in to solve any issues that we've got. However, we do have time. We should hopefully be able to free up some budget in the next month. Fingers crossed. We haven't really got much else going on. We've got the FA Trophy, of course, but um, I think yeah, we have got some huge games over Christmas that will probably define our season. To be honest, I know I'd mentioned a few episodes ago, like, will this define our season? And yeah, I wasn't really expecting us to go on a 7 game losing streak, um, which is rough. It's really it's really rough. I was just looking at the 2012-13 season, obviously the season we got relegated from League Two. From the 22nd of September to the 20th of October, we lost every game. Um, that was 6 league games and a Johnson Paints Trophy defeat away to Plymouth Argyle. Um, Obviously, included in that was your friend and mine, Torquay away, which was which is probably, to be honest, it might be everyone's. I knew we were getting relegated when because that was the game where Craig Reed scored a hat trick in 47 minutes, and we conspired to lose the game 4-3. Um, yeah, when you look back, yeah, that probably was the turning point. Guy Branston at the back, Tonkin on the left, Craig Reed and Hilton up top. Wow, Michael Rankin came on for Danny Hilton. Gosh, good gosh. So yeah, that's my general thoughts on what's going on. I mean, I don't know. Go and have a look at the 2012-13 season. It's equally depressing as what's going on right now. Looking ahead to York, I mean, where do you even begin? It's a it's a top 3 hardest away games of the season. We're running into it in the worst form that Aldershot Town has ever known. Um, is there any hope? I'm not seeing much hope, but as always is the case, that as the days roll by, and maybe we get a bit of confidence from the Fulham game, which is on tonight, maybe just maybe there's like the moment when we knew we might stay up, when we got a dramatic win away at York, or a last gasp equaliser, something like that. We just need something, and Coleman needs something, and these players need something. Obviously, they're the only ones that can go and do it, and I really hope they can do it at York. But I mean, I can't see it. But let's hope. Anyway, I will leave this because I could go on for hours. I've been going off inside my head for the last few days. So that combined with England in the Ashes, it's not been a great day to be an Aldershot-based England fan in the cricket. So at least we've got 10 days now to chill out. No cricket. Well, kind of a free hit away at York because it's a rough one. And then we go again. Brisbane, Alty at home. Come on, now we're talking. That's points on the board. That's 1-1 going into the Adelaide Test. You can just feel it. So yeah, sorry, that's my attempt at a positive spin. Up the shots.